Another beautiful day in Ohio. I will say one subject I see keeps popping up in some of the trucking live feeds that I've been watching is people talk about buying a used truck versus a new truck. Some people believe, you know, if you have a brand new truck, you ain't got to worry about breaking down. And if you have a used truck, it could potentially cost you, you know, a lot of money to maintain. And I'm sure there's truth in both of them. Well, I guess you can't even say there's truth in both. But a used truck, yeah, if you buy a hunk of crap, a used truck can absolutely cost you a lot of money, but so can a new truck. People talk about the warranty with a new truck. That warranty is as good as the paper it's written on, in my opinion. All it takes is for that warranty, all it takes is for, you know, the dealership or whoever looks at it to blame it on driver error or driver abuse, and then the warranty ain't gonna cover, you know, something. Or how something might break on the engine, and what broke might be covered under warranty, but if it took out something next to it, or, you know, whatever, if something else broke it, or if something on the engine breaks, or, you know, something like that, something catastrophic happens, it could be covered under warranty. But if, like, let's say it takes out something else, or it messes something else up, that's not covered under warranty. You know, you still got to pay for repairs. You still got to pay for, you know, something that goes on with the truck. And you can kind of take maintenance out of it, just because maintenance is required on both a used and a new truck. They both need oil changes. They both need, you know, greasing and everything else that comes along with it. In my opinion, buying a brand new truck, I would definitely want to have a lot more money saved up in the bank, just because that if it does go down for warranty, then you're waiting for the dealership to replace it, or you know, fix whatever. You're waiting for the dealership to do something. Versus a used truck, you might, you know, you can probably take it almost anywhere depending on what you have. That's like this Peterbilt with this 12.7 Detroit I have. I can take it to almost any dealership. Now for any engine work, I would mainly use like Freightliner, or well, I prefer like Western Star to do any engine work to it, because I figure they probably see a lot more Detroits than the Peterbilt dealership. Or if you find a shop that, you know, you can trust and that'll work on your truck to do any engine work, they might be a lot more familiar with a Detroit or a Cummins or a Cat versus a you know, a DD, like the newer Detroits in the Freightliners and Western Stars. Or an International engine, or, you know, Volvo engine, any of the proprietary stuff. And then I look at a used truck. If you can get a used truck at a really good price, and you might have to sink some money into it, you know, I mean, hell, if I get I would personally buy a used truck with 1 million miles on it versus buying a brand new truck. If I can get the used truck for a good price, knowing damn well I gotta, you know, I might have might have to do a rebuild or you know, replace a bunch of stuff. I'd rather rebuild an entire truck and have it paid for versus buying a brand new truck that I'm gonna have a humongous payment for 4 or 5 years or more. I would take the used truck all day, especially if you can get something that's pre-emissions. Because I think a lot of people get the impression with a brand new truck that it ain't gonna break down and it's not gonna cost you as much money and stuff like that. Because with a used truck, yeah, it might break down, but or you could have things that need to be replaced that are a lot cheaper to where you can pay. You can take your time replacing certain things. I used to look at used trucks and I'd see, like, you know, a crappy steering wheel, you know, one of the factory steering wheels that's all, you know, falling apart, seats that are falling apart, ripped up. Those are you know, I used to look at those, I'm like, oh man, I don't want a used truck because of that. All that stuff can be replaced. I mean, I replaced this, you know, the wheel on this truck myself. I replaced the seat myself. You know, those are small things that can easily be replaced when buying a used truck versus a new one. Or if you buy a used truck, you know, and you do an oil sample or something like that, a lot of dealerships, they'll change the oil as soon as they get the truck traded in or something. So the oil sample might not always tell you what you want to know. If it's got fresh oil in it, it ain't going to tell you if there's any issues or any problems with that truck or with that engine. And I know there are people that have bought used trucks for 15 to 20 grand or less. Where that truck turns around, it pays for itself and makes them a lot more money. And then when it breaks, they go buy another 12, 15, 20 grand truck and do it all over again. But I know I'm the same way as far as, you know, people, you want a brand new truck? Hell yeah, I want a brand new truck. But I don't want that brand new truck payment. You know, the reason I would want a brand new truck is just because it's brand new. Like, yeah, I'm the first one to be putting miles on it. I'm the first one to be, you know, sitting in that seat going down the highway. But is that enough of a reason to go out and get a 3,000 or more, you know, hell, some cases, yeah, no, I'd say probably about 3,000. What's that, maybe average today? $2,500 to $3,500, somewhere around in there. If you go out and get a brand new truck for 4 or 5 years financing. I would love a brand new truck and, you know, being the first one to put miles on it and everything like that, like I said. But at the same time, I also want something that's going to make me a lot of money. Messed that shift up. That's like, I look at this truck, I mean, hell, technically I bought it used. I bought it from Colonial or I'm doing a lease purchase on it from Colonial. They sold it to me for $69,000. I financed $67,000. I put I only put $2,000 down, so I financed 67 through them. I've got a $15,000 balloon payment, if you want to call it that. That's the interest plus the cost of the pump that I have on my truck. I believe when it's all said and done, I'll pay $84,000 for this truck. I did it for a 4-year, 48-month lease purchase. And whenever I went to buy this truck, so it had 155,000 miles on it. And right before I bought it, you know, I was told, okay, go ahead and get new tires, new brakes, you know, stuff like that done on it, and get a fresh PM. And so I did, you know, before I signed the paperwork on it. So at least all that was, you know, all that was fresh. You know, it's March next month. The end of next month will be 2 years that I've been paying on this truck. And I still have about 60% of the light, like 60% of the shoes left on the brakes. I haven't had to do any brakes. I replaced the tires and rims. Of course, I got these black rims and stuff on now. I did the tires and rims at 200,000 miles, and I'm at 294 right now. And realistically, I could probably get another 100,000 miles at least out of my drive tires. I've been extremely surprised at how well they're wearing in, as far as they're not wearing real fast or anything like that. They've been surprisingly really, really good. It's the only bad thing about me living up here and dealing with the snow and all that stuff is, you know, today's Sunday, and what is it? You know, when it starts raining, when it starts snowing, stuff like that, you know, you just got to drive a little bit slower, just like you would, you know. Just take it a little easier, be more cautious. I only have 2 loads to do today, so far anyway. I try to keep my fuel above half a tank when I start my day. Like yesterday morning, I recorded some video, but I decided just to redo it for today. But yesterday morning, I started with just over half a tank. I decided to go ahead and stop at Love's and get fuel, top off, because you never know when they're gonna add another load to me, or, you know, anything like that. Because they did that on Friday. I only had 2 loads. I said, okay, cool, you know, I'll have an early day, and I get up to Columbus to load my second load. I get up there to load my second load, and they call, one of our customers called in her fuel order. So my dispatcher said, hey, you know, if you want to run this and then do your last load, you know, taking you back home. I said, hell yeah. Turned my, you know, $770 something day into a $1,300 day, so I was okay with that. Especially since Friday was the last day for that pay period. But I've been putting back money because, you know, talking about going back to used truck versus new truck and maintenance and all that stuff. You know, I've had to replace, in the last probably 30 days, I've replaced both U-joints, or as far as the first and the second U-joint, the one right after the carrier bearing, and then just a few days ago I replaced the one on the back of the transmission. It wasn't too bad, but it was starting to get, you know, some excessive play in it, and so I ordered all the parts from Fitzgerald. That's one thing with having a glider kit, is I found out a lot of the stuff, if it didn't come from the factory with it, I have to call Fitzgerald to get the part numbers and stuff like that, because the Peterbilt dealership doesn't know what you know, they have no idea what Fitzgerald put on this truck. So I call Fitzgerald, give them my VIN, the last 6 of my VIN, and got all that squared away. One thing I don't do is I don't mess around with. I definitely don't mess around with maintenance on this truck. Is if something pops up, I get it replaced, you know, as soon as possible. So far this year, I've had to replace 1 airbag on my drives, those 2 U-joints, and then next week my truck's going in the shop for I gotta get both front springs on my steer axle, both the springs replaced, bushings, pins, everything. That right there is probably gonna be at least, you know, $3 grand or so after labor, because they'll replace all that and then do a front end alignment. Car. At least they use their blinker. Driving in a winter wonderland. I think I'm just going to cruise at 50. In no hurry. One thing I started doing was getting my butt out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning so I can leave the house by 5 and start my day early, because I'd much rather get done early in the day versus work later. I can't stand watching the sun come up and watching the sun go down while I'm working. Because when the sun goes down while I'm working, then I get tired even sooner. I'm like, ah, hell. But I really like getting home before any kind of rush hour, or, you know, I can get through Dayton or Columbus or wherever I am. Get through there before any rush hour happens.